Hey everyone, this is Greg Katzman with CBR, New York Comic Con 2022, and today I have the honor of chatting with John Ridley. John, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you holding up?
I'm doing okay, man. I'm nervous. You've been having some great interviews today. So.
It's been an interesting day. It started early, a lot of questions, but I really have to give a lot of respect to a lot of the reporters. They've read, they're excited about graphic novels and comic books in general, and that always makes it more pleasurable, just talking to people who are like-minded, interested, and excited about the work.
Well, I'm none of those things, so I look forward to this.
Okay.
No,
It'll be a breath of fresh air.
No, I was lucky enough to actually read One Bad Day, The Penguin, last night. I'll keep things spoiler-free.
All right.
Well, that comic is going on sale October 18th. I would love to know the origin story of you tackling this comic. Is it something you pitched to DC? Did they come to you?
No, surprisingly, and I kind of mean this sincerely, a little bit kidding on the square, but it feels surprising that they call. And they'll say, hey, we have an idea, or we're doing a series, or we're doing a bunch of one-shots, and we'd love for you to be part of that. And in all sincerity, it freaks me out a little bit. This is all valuable real estate, everything that's going on here. The fans are really passionate. They love these stories. So to be invited to play in these spaces, it is a rare opportunity. But when DC called, they said, look, we're doing these. Originally, I don't know if I'm giving anything away here, but they were under the umbrella of the Killing ... much like the Killing joke back in the day. And that was basically the prescription that we were given. Here's the concept, here are the characters that were available, and what would you do with it? And the idea, the opportunity, they were all really, really intriguing, but I was directing a film at the time that I'd written, and I'm doing with Regina King, a really good friend of mine, and I was just like, there's no way, I don't have the time to do this. And I would truly, for a couple of nights, I would go to bed, and I'm like, I'm insane for not doing it. I'm insane if I do it. So if I'm going to be insane either way, let me be a little crazy and try to be part of what sounded like it was going to be an amazing collection of stories about some of the most iconic villains in the history of comic books. And among the characters who were available, I said, look, I would love to do a story with Penguin. I offered up a take. They really thought it was of merit, and they said, go to it. So it was a bit of a crazy couple of months trying to get all that work done, but coming out on the other side of it, I just feel, frankly, honored to have the opportunity to tell a story with all of these One Bad Days, and do it with some of the best writers, best artists, best creators that are working right now.
Yeah, and I think it's very clear in the comic why you chose the Penguin, what you find interesting about the character, but the people watching this haven't read that comic yet. So perhaps, can you talk a bit about what it is about the Penguin? Because like you said, there is that great rogues gallery of villains with Batman that you could have, taken on any one of them. So to you, what is it about the Penguin that really makes him unique and such a compelling character?
To me, this is someone who is the beating heart of all crime in Gotham City. And yes, you have the Joker, you have the Riddler, you have Scarecrow, you have all these amazing characters, but here's this character who's set up who's basically running this criminal empire. And if the Joker needs something, if the Riddler needs something, if Scarecrow needs something, if any of these baddies need something, he's the one who's sort of modulating crime in the city. Not so little that he can't make a profit, not so much that he draws such clear attention to himself that it interrupts this criminal empire. And for me, there was just this question of really who's running the show in Gotham. Is it Batman who's keeping crime under control? Or is it someone who controls crime so that Batman can be effective and that the citizenry can feel like, hey, there's somebody out there looking for us? But the reality is that crime continues under the surface. So for me, it was just something that excited me as a storyteller. I felt like it was a way to look at this relationship between Oswald and Batman. And more importantly, it was a way to both excavate the Penguin's origin, because there are a lot of people that, you mentioned, they may be reading this book for the first time. But somebody said once, and I don't remember who it was, and I thought it was very interesting, as somebody who's still a little bit new in the comic book space, you have to assume that every comic out there, it's somebody's first time reading it. So yes, there may be some people who read it and go, well, I kind of know that. But everybody, it's a treadmill that's running, and are they stepping on it for the very first time? So to excavate some elements of Penguin's past, as well as introduce some ideas and some concepts that are new and they're fresh, to me it was a challenge, and I hope that I certainly know my partner, the artist, Giuseppe Camicoli, who worked with me on the other history, I know he's always up to the challenge, but I hope on the page I delivered a few things that were new, that were fresh, that were different, and are really worth people's time and attention.
Yeah, the dynamic with Batman was very interesting. I don't want to spoil anything there, but one could argue that Batman and Penguin are actually the dynamic duo. They work together to keep Gotham safe. I won't say any more than that. But dealing with Penguin, I feel like there are a lot of very interesting themes that you address. There's mental health, there's bullying. Can you speak a little bit about the themes that you wanted to incorporate when dealing with this character?
I think every writer approaches the story differently, and what are those touchstones for us? And for me, it's injecting levels of reality into these fantastic worlds. And for me, when you look at someone, I think the comic book audience, and I don't ever want to stereotype, but I'm one of these people, we're a little nerdy. We're a little on the outside. We're curious in ways. We're attracted to storytelling about people who are otherized, and then all of a sudden there's something that is granted where you realize, oh, I can be more than what other people assume. I can be great, and I can do great things. But there's always that other side of the mirror when you look at these heroes where somebody else was otherized, tormented in some ways, and they make other decisions about where they're going to go in life and how they're going to take what was put on them and dispense that in the larger spaces. So for me, it was about individuals who are looked at as being different, but as a collective, when they find other individuals who are like them, they can do pretty amazing things. To me, it was more than just criminality. It's hard to, in any space, to laud criminal behavior. But at the same time, I think it is of value to explore, why do people make certain choices? Who are they attracted to? Why do they jettison people from their past lives? There's a lot of individuals that Penguin runs into in this story that were in his past, that obviously were not in other stories, but why? It's also incumbent upon the writer, at least for me, to not just offer things up, but to have an explanation. I hope we explained a lot of things in this story.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have time for one more question, so I'd love to ask you.
You can ask more questions? I don't mind. I like being here.
We like
I gotta
having you.
exit through all these folks. I feel a little safer in here.
Well, I'll ask a few more.
Okay.
So we have GCPD, the
Yeah.
Blue Wall coming up. I
Yes.
would love to hear more about the development process behind that book, because obviously this is a topic that really resonates with a lot of people, especially over the past few years.
Yeah, it honestly is another case where someone at DC, in this case Ariana, who is my editor on this book, on the Blue Wall, she called and she was like, hey, I have this idea for a book. It's going to be about policing. It's going to be about community. I had the opportunity in Batman's Second Son to actually have Renee Montoya elevated from being an officer to being the commissioner. And that was just, it was fortunate, it was good timing, and I felt very blessed to have the opportunity to do that. So when Ariana, she called and said, hey, we want to do a limited series about Renee, about her being commissioner, and about community, about just everything, as you mentioned, that we see happening in cyclical manners about police, about community, about race, about engagement, about all of these things. I remember exactly where I was when I got the call. I remember that conversation, and it was just, that is a story that I feel is very me. It's in my wheelhouse. The old saw about being a writer, write about what you know. I've been very fortunate. I've had all kinds of interactions with law enforcement. I've had some where you're so thankful and so appreciative to these men and women who are out there doing their job every single day. I've had other circumstances where, if you represented a little differently, this would have gone in a completely different direction. I've never had the worst of the worst, but I've had enough where I can't imagine what if this is bad, what happens when you dial it up to 11? So to have the opportunity to tell a story, and to tell it with, to me, one of the most iconic characters in the DC universe of the modern era. I'm old enough to remember when Renee was just, that character over on the side in Batman the Animated Series, and you see her progress, you see all the places she's been. I think Half-Life in Gotham Central is one of, hands down, the best stories ever written anywhere. It's just so powerful, so impactful. To be able to play in a space where you're working with one of these great characters, it's very fanciful, but at the same time, it's very grounded, it's very real. It speaks to issues of identity and otherization and systemic bias. And to do it at a company where they say, you don't have to dial this down. You don't have to, talk about it, but don't talk about it. Say these things, but don't really say these things. Go there, but don't go there. That was never the case. And in this space where folks are very concerned about, well, let's not offend, let's not, everything should be right down the middle. We don't want to play too much to the left, to the right. To have a company that says, look, just speak your truth and do it with our characters and do it in a way that is going to be impactful, respectful, challenging, that's a rare privilege. So that book, it's a unique month for me. I got I Am Batman, an ongoing series. I got Black Panther, an ongoing series. I have this amazing one-shot in Batman One Bad Day. The Penguin, in and among all that, to be able to say that I'm part of GCPD, the Blue Wall, is, the most special month of my life. I don't know. I don't know how it gets better than this. I hope it does, because I'd hate to remember we're sitting here chatting and this is the downhill swing of my career. But it is pretty special. I hope I'm
not associated with that.
Well, only by bad luck of the draw. It was not you. I won't blame you.
One bad
but yeah, I know. You predicted it. But it is pretty special to be here, to be part of this, to be part of a community of writers, artists, and creators that are doing something. I mean, right now, this is, these are our legends. Back in the day, it was Westerns. It's been gladiator stories, it's been all kinds of things, but right now it's about superheroes, and to be able to play even in one little corner of all that it's special. It really is special.
That is a great note to end on. John, thank you so much for taking the time to talk comics with us.
Listen, thank you all. I drop by CBR all the time, and you all are phenomenal, and I appreciate the writing, I appreciate the reporting, and I just appreciate the love, and it's really wonderful to be back and back in person and to be among, fans and friends and people. I don't know if they think of me as a peer, but I certainly think of them as pretty remarkable individuals. So it's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And for everyone watching, Batman One Bad Day, The Penguin, as well as GCPD, The Blue Wall #1, they go on sale October 18th. For more New York Comic Con coverage, stay tuned to CBR. John, thanks again.
Thank you.